Hi, Amos here, and I have another box, which is all fun. And I got the box out, I set everything up, and I couldn't find my cutting knife. So I got this really cool little old, I don't think they make them anymore, this very cool thing I got, a little Almar knife I used to use for cutting open boxes at work, which I found again, which is very cool. It's even got a little bit of super glue on there where the clip thing came off. Anyway, I always wanted to get another one of these, they're so cool. Gadgets are all cool, and when you're younger, you know, knives can be cool too, especially practical ones. But anyway, I have a box. Let's see what's in it. I gather it's a pair of headphones. Ja-ja! And it's another Meze, which is reflecting my overhead light. Let's get it out. And it is more shiny. No, it's just the box is shiny. What do we have here? We have a pair of, the last one pair I did was 99 Classics. This is the 99 Neo. Now, when we had a look at the 99 Classics originally, they had different ear pads. Now, since then, there's been an ear pad update, which has been good because the new ear pads give more space for your ears, and they're chunkier and more comfortable, and they look better. So now we have the Neos, and I'm going to find out. I know nothing if they sound the same, if any other changes have happened, and that's something I'm going to investigate. But whatever we think, they are very attractive looking headphones. And hold on, let me guess. Look, always muck that one up. Okay, so now we should have 99 Classics booklet. The problem with going from light to dark is I hope you can see okay. It may be all right, but we have a nice case here. The 99s came with a case, so I'll have to check that out. That's an attractive box. I reckon other manufacturers could learn a lot from this. This is very simple to open, although it should have an open sign on it to make it easy to sort out. I reckon other manufacturers could learn from this. I mean, it was V-Motor who first did the shaped cases really well, and that layout, and everyone have copied that since then. But you know, for general thinking about how stuff is designed, Meze have done a pretty good job. Anyhow, inside again we have a pouch with the cables. Now it's not attached, so you don't necessarily have to take the pouch, which is good in a way. And you have these very attractive looking black headphones, which may well, I could probably do with turning the brightness up a bit so we can see. Which means my table's going to be super bright, and my hands are going to cause clipping, and everything else is going to look almost unviewable. So it looks like we have much the same design as well. I actually have plugged into my camera. I use them now for monitoring, of all things. Here is the original Classics, or are the original Classics, I should say, with their wood. And this has got the new ear pads on them. They sent me the new pads after the video too, and I took a couple of pictures. And this is the Neo. So I guess much the same thing, except we've got this, well, it's plastic, but it looks kind of like fake leather texture on it. But it looks like essentially the same thing. You've got this sort of silvery instead of gold. And yep, same headphone entry, where there's no left and right. Left and right is decided by the cable. Let's have a look if they've got anything aside. Cable-wise, I think we're looking at much the same deal. Yes. Same kind of deal as before. Right is distinguished by a notch, except for it's got cable colors have changed. So instead of these black plugs, we've got these shiny silvery ones. Same deal though. That's the only downside to them. I mean, not that headphones in this price range really get aftermarket cables, but you know, you have to use these super thin plugs, otherwise you can't plug in a cable. Airline adapter, 6.5mm adapter, and another cable for plugging into a non-smartphone. So it looks like we've got a short smartphone cable and a long regular cable. Excellent. Okay, so now on to have a listen and see if they sound the same. Now, if you've already seen my 99 Classics video, but I'm going to cover some of the same ground. But the basic idea of these headphones, of course, is that you plug in the cable into either of the sockets, and the left hand side has a little notch here, and then so you just feel for that, then put that on the left and pop that straight on your head, and there's no adjustment to do because it's all elastic. And that's, you know, fantastic ergonomics for a pair of, well, I'd say fairly relatively inexpensive headphones. And the pads themselves are still, you know, they're still the big plush pads that they changed to on the 99 Classics. They have a fair amount of depth for your ear to go into, so I mean they should cover nicely most people's ears. Unless you have gigantic ears, then you should be pretty much fine. The head pad is, you know, fairly gently elasticized, and you know the arcs have a sufficient amount of grip that, you know, I found them comfortable, but and I can listen to for a fairly long time. Some people I've noticed have found them to be a little bit sweaty because it is an enclosed cup. So I think if you're listening in a very hot room or something like that, you may find that a little bit troublesome. But otherwise, you know, ergonomic-wise, I find them pretty excellent. And sound-wise, of course, they are much the same as the 99 Classics. And of course, there's going to be some difference using these plastic cups as opposed to using the wood cups, because materials resonate differently, and of course, you know, affect the sound differently. But in comparing the two, you know, I didn't really notice any really significant difference. It was kind of splitting hairs. If a preference, I probably prefer the sound, you know, with the wood cups, but it's only, you know, a very slight difference indeed. And if I was without comparing, I probably wouldn't even really realize. Now, that sound signature, just as before with the 99 Classics, is what I call a consumer tuning. It's a little bit warm of neutral, with a treble just on that point where if it was any darker, it would sound muffled, and if it was any brighter, it could run the risk of, you know, running into some excessive brightness and sibilance with some music. So it's just on that perfect spot. But given that the bass has some warmth, that makes them a fairly good pair of all-rounders. Where I found they shone best was with kind of modern music, which has, you know, is a little bit on the bright side, but with that, you know, they have enough bass kick not to be too warm and bloated, and the bass is pretty good, all things considered, whether I use my phone or, you know, one of the exotic amps I have behind me. And say with you know, some average music, I listen to Untitled, which is, you know, fairly modern, comes more toward pop oriented. You know, I found them to be pretty good and pretty enjoyable. It's probably only things like classical and jazz where you don't get quite the best, because classical it tends to work better where you have the headphones which have a brighter treble peak to give more air around the instruments. They don't really have enough precision, and would probably for classical listeners who are kind of very picky, we might find the sound to be a little bit muffled. But otherwise, you know, some people you could get away with listening to classical on them, but I think they're definitely more oriented towards the, you know, the consumer who has, say, a phone or what have you, or, you know, more basic equipment, because they're not the kind of detail monsters that you're going to get from higher end headphones or some planers. They're kind of, for me, a very relaxed listening headphone, so I can plug them in and put on some fairly modernish music and just relax and enjoy listening with them, and that's where they really, really shine. So overall, you know, the best thing about them is they're about $60 cheaper, because currently on Amazon.com it says the Classics are $309 and these are $249. So for literally 20% off, you get, well, pretty much the same pair of headphones, and they look pretty cool. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with the Meze 99 Neos, and especially with that price drop. So I think these are still going to be fairly popular, you know, for kind of for people who listen to more modern music. Anyhow, once again, I hope you liked my video. Do give it a thumbs up if you did like it, and subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos and be notified. And if you do think my video was good, share it with your friends. You know, post it on social media, and if you have any comments, criticisms, or something I missed, please do post in the comments section, and I'll respond as quickly as I can. Also, do check out my site, headphone-earphone.reviews, or for short, HEAR, or Hear Reviews, and check out my written review as well, which will be updated with any new info as it comes out. And otherwise, I'll see you online.